the independent agencies are at issue here. You talked about the Federal Reserve, and let's get to that a little bit later. But there are other agencies that are structured similarly. The NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, Securities and Exchange Commission. And this is a key line from one of the three articles on the New York Times website right now. An amicus brief lists 50 boards and commissions that could be affected by the decision. What can be affected?
So many agencies, again, every agency that we have conceived of up until this point as independent, all of the agencies you rattled off, the National Labor Relations Board, the agency that is in charge of enforcing federal labor laws in this country, the Merit Service Protection Board, that is the agency that is in charge of protecting the civil service. I.e., if Donald Trump, right, or his lackeys try to fire like those civil servants who are supposed to be nonpartisan, the Merit Systems Protection Board, that's supposed to be the agency that will enforce those laws. The Consumer Product Safety Commission that, protects consumers, the Federal Election Commission, the Federal Communications Commission. I could go on. Like, these are some of the agencies that regulate, so many aspects of our lives. Justice Kagan has described agencies as really the modern face of the federal government as we know it, because so much of, what happens today in government is done through these agencies. And this decision is basically poised to hand the president near plenary authority over who runs those agencies and therefore how they will be run.
And as one commentator pointed out, the Merit Systems Protection Board has already been purged to
Yep.
some extent by the Trump administration, and it's part of this suite of cases that the court is considering. There's another one that I wasn't even aware of, again, is part of this same New York Times coverage, 3 articles laying out the stakes of today's hearings. They talk about the Great Lakes St. Lawrence Seaway Development Corporation, apparently meant that its agency gets little notice outside the shipping and maritime industries, but it maintains a key North American trade route that $26 billion a year in cargo traverses. That would seemingly potentially be affected by
Yeah.
this ruling.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I watched the entire nearly 3-hour hearing, and one theme that kept going again and again is line drawing. And if the court accepts that any intrusion on the president's authority is unacceptable under the Constitution, you cannot create an agency that is protected, I think was referred to at one time as a headless fourth branch. If that is the case, where is the line drawn? And did John Sauer actually ever answer that question?
We don't know where the line is drawn, in part because John Sauer and, frankly, the Republican appointees were utterly unwilling to give any indication about where they think the line could, would, or should be drawn. Basically, what's going to happen is the Supreme Court is going to replace what is existing law, which says, again, these multi-member commissions, Congress can say, those multi-member commissioners